was that?
You can see that he's having a good time inside his little mind. I don't know what's going on with this dude.
Knocks, shine the light in. And over. Shit. There's a whole bunch of them.
Some camping encounters turn terrifying before you even realize you're in danger. One camper was trapped inside his truck as bullets ricocheted toward him, while another woke to footsteps circling his van and found his chair mysteriously moved by morning. So what would you do when the darkness outside starts getting closer? Mav records truck camping and outdoor adventures throughout America. On April 10th, 2020, he camped in the back of his truck near Lake Superior in Minnesota. He stayed overnight, close to his fishing spot so he could be ready by 5 in the morning. But before daylight, the night changed in a way he never anticipated.
Right now, I'm driving up north. I'm gonna be doing an overnight in the truck tonight. Hopefully we can get some fish. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to fish tonight, but I guess we'll have to see, so see when we get up there. For tonight, I gotta get my bed set up and I gotta jump in the back of my truck and get some shut-eye because we're gonna go after these fish really early in the morning. Kind of a weird little stealth camping. I haven't ever been like, I just felt very overwhelmed earlier. It's kind of a odd thing to have a bunch of cameras out. I mean, people can probably connect the dots there, what's going on, so.
After switching off his light and getting comfortable, he noticed people outside the truck. Their headlights remained on, and they seemed to be sitting nearby. Turning his own light on again seemed too dangerous, so he remained perfectly still in the darkness of the truck bed and waited for them to go.
Alright, so there's people right outside. They just did a burnout in their truck and they're just hanging out right here. I don't know what's going on. I know you can't see me right now, but I can't risk turning on any lights.
Then, while he was still hidden in the dark, the truck suddenly seemed surrounded. A sound followed, and at first he could not identify it.
Alright, so my main camera has died. It's about 2:30 in the morning. My camera died, but there was like 2 kids out this way. It sounded like something dragging on the ground. I couldn't tell exactly where it was. Close to the truck because the wind is like making so much noise on my truck. It had to have been close.
Some kids were outside near his truck shooting a .22 caliber rifle at a metal garbage can roughly 50 yards away. The rounds were striking it and ricocheting back toward his position.
This dragging goes on and then all of a sudden there's a pop. I couldn't tell what it was at first. It was the sound of a gun because there was the sound of a ricocheting bullet hitting concrete. I know my reenactment noises are great. It was pretty scary. Another one went off and it sounded like a small gun, and there's high schoolers outside of my truck playing with the gun. That's really reassuring.
Mav remained motionless inside the truck. Moving around was not safe. Driving away was not possible either. The only thing he could do was stay silent and hope that none of the ricochets struck the truck.
So, I've never felt more unsafe truck camping somewhere. I'm probably just gonna have to set my car alarm off. Stray bullet to come through the back of this thing, even if it is from a .22, could hit me right here and I could be dead, so not good. But for the time being, I got 2 more hours to sleep. Sorry again about the dead main camera. I wish it was alive too, but hopefully this one suffices. Just don't be dumb with your friends. I was in high school too, but like, I don't know. It's not cool. Don't feel safe.
Bullets may change course after hitting a hard surface, particularly metal or concrete. Even a small caliber round remains dangerous when it rebounds in an unpredictable direction. There's no way to know for certain whether the people outside realized he was there or were simply acting recklessly in the worst possible location. Either way, a peaceful night became a situation where remaining hidden may have been the safest option available. What would you do if you were stuck inside that truck? Larry operates the YouTube channel Work Less Enjoy Life More, where he documents truck camping journeys and off-grid adventures throughout the American Southwest. His videos often bring him across vast open country silent forest roads and remote places where the closest town may be an hour away in any direction. From a distance, that lifestyle can appear quiet and relaxing. On June 2nd, 2022, Larry was camped deep inside Arizona's Mogollon Rim region. Surrounding him was dense ponderosa forest, with no nearby neighbors and no outside noise. Only Larry, his 2 dogs, and the kind of stillness that normally makes a night outdoors feel perfect. But on this night, the quiet would not last.
Oh yeah. I hear somebody walking outside. And they knocked.
Once darkness settled and something outside the van suddenly caught his attention, Larry reached for his gun and remained exactly where he was. The person outside did not go away. Footsteps continued moving slowly around the van. Larry stayed motionless and listened, his entire body tense. Several long minutes passed as Larry continued listening closely, but the noises continued. The movement did not seem accidental. It sounded controlled and deliberate, as though whoever was outside was neither lost nor confused and understood exactly what they were doing. Then it happened once more. Another knock came from outside. This time a slow scraping noise followed along the door. Something solid was being dragged across the metal, moving gradually, carefully, and steadily. It was difficult to hear a sound like that and believe nothing was happening.
One more knock. Just one knock.
Larry remained silent and refused to move. Eventually, the noises stopped for the night, but he got almost no sleep. When morning finally arrived around 7, he stepped outside and immediately realized that something was not right.
This chair was over here by the table last night when I went to bed, or the last time I went outside.
His camping chair had been moved. It was now positioned directly in front of the van door, facing away from it. Whoever had been walking around him during the night had also disturbed his campsite. The chair had either been relocated or used in a way that made it resemble a lookout point somewhere a person could sit and watch the area. That single detail seemed even more disturbing than the knocks and footsteps. It made the entire incident feel less like an accidental scare and more like something intentionally done. Larry packed everything and headed north. Less than half a mile from the place where he had slept, he passed a single tent standing alone between the trees. It appeared plain and empty, with nobody visible nearby. Almost immediately afterward, he noticed a dark-colored truck parked beside the road. A man sat motionless behind the wheel, watching Larry directly as he drove by.
I haven't seen anybody. I haven't seen another person in miles and miles. I haven't seen anybody. The guy in the truck, there was a guy sitting in a truck on the side of the road. Like a dark colored.
Even after traveling for miles, the uneasy feeling remained. The footsteps, the scraping noise the chair moved during the night, and the silent man inside the truck continued running through his mind. There's no simple explanation for a night like this. Nobody can know for certain who was outside or what that person wanted. But someone came close enough to disturb his camp while he was trying to sleep. And that fact alone makes the encounter difficult to dismiss. What do you think was actually happening outside the van? Have you ever tried to remain unnoticed only to discover that someone might have already spotted you? That is what happened during this stealth camping night beside a remote lake. In a video posted on July 24th, 2022, YouTuber Brennan Explores traveled to Lake Vyrnwy in Wales. His plan was to spend the night stealth camping close to the lakeshore. Signs around the lake warned against overnight parking and camping. Still, Brendan intended to stay discreet and make the vehicle look like an ordinary parked car.
Looks like some people have already beaten me to it. That's definitely a camper there. The infamous signs. Let me show you. No overnight parking / camping.
Afterward, he relocated to another spot beside the lake. The car was set up for the night. The windows were covered, his belongings were put away, and he settled down.
So I've ended up moving from that fly-infested spot. So I'm going to do my very best at trying to air the car out of all those flies. It was an absolute nightmare. But yeah, look at this absolutely beautiful spot here. One absolutely epic evening. If it wasn't for those goddamn flies, which there's a couple still in here now. Anyway, I don't think there's anything left to do now, apart from getting dressed, get into bed, and wake up to that beautiful view.
Then, at around 3 a.m., headlights appeared. A vehicle approached and aimed its lights directly at Brendan's car. When headlights shine into a parked vehicle at night, the person inside can barely see beyond the glare. That makes it difficult to know who is outside what they want, or whether staying quiet or leaving would be safer.
I can see headlights. Who the was that? They just drove off, didn't shout anything, didn't ask if anyone's in here, gave a couple knocks, shone the light in, and drove off. Shit. I thought someone would come back then, Jesus. The fact that they left makes me think that they're probably just going to leave me be now. 1 o'clock in the morning. That is one absolutely terrifying feeling. I'll let you know if anyone returns. Fingers crossed they don't. And if you don't hear from me before morning, they've naffed off. Well, that's one hell of a wake up I've ever had one. Jeez. About the rest of my evening, about 3:30, a van pulled up, lights turned on directly at the car. Probably for about 15 minutes, the car was just sat there with the light shining on the car. By the time they'd left, it had nearly 4 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't going to be long before the daylight hit. At about 7 o'clock, and I've just dozed in till about now, which is about 9:15 now.
Stealth camping in places marked with clear no camping signs means accepting that discovery is always possible. But when it happens in the middle of the night, the decision becomes harder. Maybe someone was simply checking the area, or perhaps Brendan had already been noticed. What would you have done? Remain hidden, drive away, or wait to see what happened next? Our next disturbing video comes from Off the Trail, a US-based camping channel, centered on solo van journeys, off-grid experiments, and real-time wilderness experiences. This happened on December 11, 2025 in northeast Oklahoma, United States. At first everything seemed manageable. He was inside the van, concentrating on cooking. Controlling the temperature became his main concern. The oven was on the door, remained partly open, and he was making small adjustments. Outside, nothing seemed to happen, but that detail matters. While his focus stayed on the activity inside the van, he was paying less attention to the area beyond it.
At 300, once it gets to 350-ish, I'll open it up, stick it in there, and we'll start cooking. Well, I just heard a coyote. I told you guys.
Then the quiet was interrupted. A coyote howl suddenly cut through the surroundings. It sounded close enough to catch his attention immediately. There was no uncertainty about what he had heard. He identified the sound at once, and that changed the mood completely. The space outside no longer seemed empty. It suddenly felt occupied.
There is a whole bunch of them.
Then another thought followed. Hearing one coyote does not always mean there is only one. That made the fear feel larger. It was no longer a single sound from one direction. There could be several animals positioned in different areas around him. After that, his behavior shifted.
Yeah. Unless I can chew through metal, I think I'll be okay. I don't know. Let's get back inside. We'll be all right. I didn't even think about testing the size of the pan. I forgot all about that, so let's hope it fits.
He remained inside and reduced his movement. The van became a barrier, not exactly comfort, but a layer of separation. Nothing moved closer, nothing escalated. but every sound outside now seemed important. There was no direct encounter, no visible approach, and no proof beyond the howl. But once the surroundings felt active, the moment did not need anything else. Maybe the coyotes were still far away, or perhaps they were closer than he wanted to think. Either way, would you have continued cooking or stayed completely still and listened? This story starts with Kayla N attempting to rebuild her sense of safety. After her family lost their home, she no longer viewed security as something that could simply be purchased. For her, stealth camping became a way to take back control, not merely a subject for YouTube. Roughly a year after she began uploading videos, Kayla filmed one of her most disturbing nights on May 7th, 2025. She was in Chicago, exhausted and cold, after fueling the van and picking up supplies. All she wanted was somewhere to park and get some sleep. She eventually picked a motel parking lot a choice for stealth campers because larger vehicles are often present, and people sleeping inside cars may attract less attention.
You guys, oh, there's a knock on my door. Oh, hold on, the dog sees him too. Hold on, shh. I can't even get up here because of the dog. Oh, baby. Excuse me?
You got a room here?
I was actually about to get a room. I wasn't here that long. I had to use the bathroom.
You have a room here, you have to leave.
Okay, thank you.
Kayla settled down and was nearly asleep when someone knocked. After being told she had to leave, she was pushed into a dangerous situation driving while exhausted through one of America's largest cities. She said on camera that she was tired and struggling, but remaining there might have created a larger problem, so she left.
I'm getting kicked out, and it's the middle of the night. Oh my god. I literally just got kicked out. And I have to find somewhere else to sleep. Oh god, I'm so tired. I could have not just answered the door, but I'm pretty sure he's seen me pull up and with the dog running out and stuff like that. So it's best I just leave before it causes any type of problem.
Kayla eventually found another place to stop, but something about the area felt wrong. Many stealth campers trust that kind of instinct because the body can sometimes detect danger before the mind understands why. When you are alone, exhausted, and parked in an unfamiliar location, even minor details can seem more serious than normal.
So I found a truck stop, and I'm gonna be sleeping here for the night. I don't think anybody's gonna come knock on my door. I hope not. But it looks kind of dangerous. I am at a truck stop in the, wide open. I don't know. Very skeptic of the place that I chose.
Fortunately, the second location turned out to be safe, and Kayla made it through the night. But the experience still reveals the darker side of van life. One knock disturbed her sleep, sent her back onto the road, and left her searching for rest somewhere that did not feel safe. Maybe there was nothing dangerous waiting for her that night, but the fear came from how fast her sense of control vanished. So what would you have done in her position? Stay silent, answer the knock, or drive away immediately? Some noises in the forest are easy to identify. Others can make even seasoned campers stop everything and hurry back towards safety. Nick is from Alberta, Canada, and he enjoys camping in the wilderness. On his YouTube channel, Nick C, he shares videos of traveling to different locations and recording himself camping alone, sometimes for one day and sometimes for much longer. His videos are enjoyable because he tries to keep everything as authentic as possible, and that honesty is part of what makes the channel interesting. But in a video uploaded on January 15th, 2026, he encountered something that unsettled him.
Alright guys, welcome back to another adventure. I was hiking recently, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt slightly disoriented. And it got me thinking, what's kind of like the minimum amount of gear that I would need in order to, survive the night out in the mountains and in the winter.
Nick traveled into the mountains to test the smallest amount of equipment he would need to make it through a winter night outdoors. He built his camp, and at first everything appeared normal. Nothing seemed unusual or out of place. Then, after stopping the recording to reposition his camera, he heard something that immediately made him uncomfortable. He did not even restart the camera right away. Instead, he stood up and returned to his car because the sound had disturbed him deeply. Once he reached the vehicle, he stopped and listened again. While waiting, he began recording once more. For over 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then the noise returned, and that was enough to make him leave.
Okay, Yeah, so we've had a bit of a change of plans here. A little bit's happened since the last clip. I'm currently driving as far as possible from that camping spot. I'm gonna pull over and I'll let you guys know what happened. I'm out of here. I am out of here. What the heck is that? I'm like, I'm done. I am done. I grabbed my stuff and I literally sprinted to the car. You know, I've never actually felt that before. I literally felt every hair on the back of my neck just, oh.
It could have been a mountain lion or a bobcat, because both can make calls that sound almost like a woman screaming. But since the sound was deeper, it may also have come from a deer or elk. In a silent forest at night, even an ordinary animal call can feel terrifying when you cannot see where the sound is coming from. It was most likely an animal not Bigfoot or a skinwalker. But even an experienced camper like Nick was shaken by it, so the sound must have felt wrong in that moment. If you heard that scream while alone in the mountains, would you stay or leave? Brian Waters has shaped his YouTube channel, Brian Waters Outdoors, around camping and life outside. His videos frequently feature him truck camping in his F250, which he has outfitted with reliable camping equipment. Like many people who spend plenty of time in remote places, Brian has experienced several strange and uncomfortable moments outdoors. In a video uploaded on January 24th, 2026, he managed to record one of those encounters on camera.
I scoped this site out last year on a camping trip, and I kind of forgot about it until this week. We're kind of back in a little cove. I think I saw one person pulling in here, and I think I'll know why. I'll explain that here in just a second. We've got this kind of like creek that does feed up into a lake up there, but you can't see the lake. But I'm hoping I'm gonna be able to get some animals tonight, because there's a ton of tracks.
He set up camp and stepped out of the truck to cook. Using the compact kitchen arrangement attached to his tailgate, he made his meal, and everything went without trouble. After eating, while the sun was beginning to go down, he collected firewood so he could build a fire and relax beside it. At first, the campsite seemed peaceful. Brian looked relaxed and comfortable. Dinner had gone well, and there were very few other people in the area. Then the atmosphere shifted.
Well, guys, I don't know what it is about this little spot, but I've had a really good time on this episode. It's been super relaxing. Really, there's no one around me. There's a tent camper 100 yards away. It's just been a good vibe all around, and definitely good drinks.
Brian spotted someone a short distance away, and the person's behavior immediately seemed unusual. It appeared to be a possible warning sign, especially since Brian was camping in a quiet location with hardly anyone else nearby.
Because I'm sitting here trying to enjoy my fire, and out of nowhere, there's this, I'm gonna go ahead and call him a nutbag, probably 100 yards away from me, dancing around. Just feels kind of weird. Luckily, you know, I don't go anywhere without protection. I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he's staying in that tent that's, you know, probably about 100 yards away. But there's definitely something wrong with that dude. You can see that he's well having a good time inside his little mind. I don't know what's going on with this dude. So yeah, I'm probably not going to sleep quite as well as I thought that I was going to tonight, knowing that that's around me. It actually looks like he's walking over this way now. It's way darker than what this video is looking like. I can't see him with my bare eyes, so I'm having to use my phone to kind of watch him.
Despite that, he chose to remain there and stay overnight. He explained that he had protection with him, which may have helped him feel secure enough to continue camping there at the site. Still remaining close to someone who appears unpredictable is generally not wise when you're alone outside. In an isolated location, fewer people are available to help, and leaving sooner is often safer than waiting to discover whether the situation becomes worse. It was unclear what type of music the person was playing, but He appeared to be enjoying himself in an unusual way. It's also possible that he was under the influence of something which could make his behavior feel even more unpredictable. Brian eventually returned inside his truck, shut the curtains, and slept there through the entire night without any further problems at all that night. Fortunately, nothing bad happened, but whenever someone behaves strangely near your campsite, leaving is usually safer than taking an unnecessary chance. Maybe the person meant no harm, or perhaps Brian simply got lucky. If you were in that situation, would you stay overnight or drive away? Kevin loves nature so much that he created a YouTube channel called Small Plots. On the channel, he shares videos of himself camping in different forests and locations. Sometimes he even goes stealth camping in places he is not supposed to access, and viewers seem to really enjoy his content. But when you do this regularly, strange things can happen. You may come across wild animals, unfamiliar people, or something you cannot easily explain. In the video uploaded on October 26, 2022, that is exactly what happened when Kevin spent the night camping in a forest with his friend Sean.
I'm here with my buddy Sean. Hello. If you've been on the channel before, you know Sean. He comes on many an adventure. And of course, Sean's dog Luna. Look at Luna, that cute little gal right there. She's ready for an adventure, aren't you, Luna?
They found a good place to camp and started setting everything up for the night. After some time, they built a fire so they could prepare something to eat.
Here we go. You got yourself a fire.
You gotta wait till it burns a little longer before you say the line.
What do you mean? This is guaranteed success. I just knew already, bro.
I know. I feel it too, man.
You feel it?
I feel it. I feel like this fire is gonna be lit. It's gonna be a fire.
Oh yeah, dude.
While they were making food, they suddenly heard an unusual sound coming from deep inside the woods. What made it more disturbing was that they could not identify what it was, despite having much experience outdoors.
What was that?
It was very strange.
I know we've been joking around, but what was that?
It sounded like a person at first, but then the hooting of it sounded like a crazy bird. I don't know.
I've never heard that in the woods. It was like, ooh. It sounded like a monkey or something.
I thought it was like a woman hooting, and then a hoo hoo hoo. Like a...
Should we respond? Ooh. What was that? I've never heard that in the woods, ever.
Yeah.
That sounded like a monkey, and it wasn't far. That was close. What was that? I just want to keep rolling in case it happens again. That was spine tingling.
Yeah, I don't even know what
that
to
was.
think
That
about
was
what that
chilling. I've never heard an animal around here make that sound. That had to have been a person.
After many camping trips in the forest, neither of them had heard anything quite like it. The sound seemed unfamiliar, and they could not tell whether something was nearby, someone was watching them, or there was a reason to feel afraid.
Okay. Yeah, I have a chill down my spine. I don't know what is happening.
I keep hearing things.
Yeah.
Not that same thing, but...
Yeah, anytime we like kind of lose focus on what's around us and get into a conversation, we start hearing things like walking towards us again for us to keep talking. I don't see any eyes. I'm very uneasy right now.
And we've camped deeper in this forest.
Yeah, this isn't that deep. I mean, we're in a deep forest, but we're...
Later, while looking around the area, they discovered trash left behind in the woods. That made it obvious someone had been there earlier, and it made them wonder whether whatever created the sound might still be somewhere close by.
I walked much farther that way. I didn't see anything, but I had to film because I came back. And there's just a bunch of like garbage right here. Yeah, I walked pretty far that way, maybe 100 yards further that way. I heard nothing, or I saw nothing. I don't know what's going on. I'm freaked out. I didn't see anything. Walking back to the site now. That was weird.
Since there was no fire nearby and the dog did not appear nervous, it was probably an animal making an unusual noise. But deep in a forest at night, even an ordinary sound can seem much more frightening when you cannot see where it came from. Fortunately, nothing happened to either of them, But that first sound clearly changed the atmosphere of the trip and made them pay attention to every small noise around them. If something feels wrong while you're camping, sometimes the smartest decision is simply to leave. It takes you away from any possible danger, and it can also keep the trip from turning into hours of anxiety and stress. After all, camping is meant to help you clear your head and enjoy nature, not sit there wondering what might be hiding somewhere in the darkness. Have you ever thought about what you would do if an alligator charged toward your kayak? For Tommy, that became real while he was bass fishing in Castleberry, Florida. He was paddling along and casting his line when something suddenly burst from the water without warning. It was an alligator, and for a moment, it seemed the kayak had drawn its attention.
Fuck you, you fucking cocksucker! Fuck!
Fortunately, the alligator pulled back almost immediately, likely startled by Tommy's response. Alligators can move silently because most of their bodies remain concealed beneath the water, making encounters like this feel sudden and frightening. Maybe it was curious, or perhaps it reacted to movement beside the kayak. Either way, Tommy was fortunate the encounter ended quickly. If you were alone out there, would you freeze paddle away, or yell like he did? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.